Okay, so we are doing a video today. It's a little different, but many of you know that my previous computer that I bought probably just over a year ago, actually, year and change ago, and it's right when Intel released their 11th gen of Intel processors, and it was my Lenovo. It's an i5. Now it's got 16 gigs of RAM. It is running the same, like the processor, the Iris, I believe it is, integrated, because it is a business laptop. But this month, yeah, well, late last month, I guess, I got the Huawei 14s. Now it's the 11th gen, again i7. So i5 on the old Lenovo, the i7 on the Huawei. Again, running the Intel Iris, right? Iris, what is it called? The X something, XE, I think it is. But I really wanted to see the difference that the i5 to i7 make. Now, here in Canada, especially with the Huawei, you can only actually get it only in the i7. But I believe pretty much everywhere else in the world with the Huawei, you have the option of getting the i5 or the i7. But I wanted to see how much of a difference it actually made between the two, because both 11th gen, both running with 16 gigs of RAM. Is there much of a difference? Now I know they're two different brands, but I have a feeling, based on my experience, that the difference is going to be surprising, because even for me that has used my i5 for the last year, I noticed just day-to-day operation how much better the Huawei 14s i7 was. And I expected it to be better. It's an i7, right? But I don't think I expected it to be this much better. Okay, so first and foremost, I got both of these running. Now, the one thing that the i5 here on my Lenovo can't do is it can't change its, not that I can find, it can't change its like performance mode. So it's kind of has a like a standard. You can do stuff in it to say, like, if it's on battery, kind of go into here, do whatever. Whereas on the Huawei, you can go into like a balance mode or a performance. Now I've got this set to balance mode, just like this has kind of by its defaults. First test that I ran, and probably the biggest reason that you are buying one of these types of computers is, you're a student, you're going to be using it for work, etc., etc. Because they're not gaming laptops, even though we're going to be testing that for sure, right? And so we ran two pieces of software. One was PC Mark 10, and I'll put some things up here. Now, I'll be completely honest while I talk about this. An i5 versus an i7, if that's all you're going to be using your computer for, right? You're going to be using it for like spreadsheets, and you're going to be using it for email and browsing the web, and you're going on some social media and doing some basic photo manipulation, etc., things like that. Either both of these computers are going to be good. They're going to do the job well. I do find just outside of the fact that the i7 is quicker, and I'll actually put up at the end of this, I'll put up the benchmark scores for both of these. I do find that with the Huawei, the 14s, because it has that taller screen, the aspect ratio is different. And it has that 90 hertz now, which is good for gaming, but it's also really good for just movement on the screen. I find that the higher refresh rates actually cause less like eye strain and things like that. Maybe it's a placebo. I don't know, but it feels that way. I definitely like using the Huawei better than I like the Lenovo, just in general, for sure. But you know what? If you want your computer to also last longer, seeing that your benchmark scores, which I'll put up here, right? This is going to be for the i5. You guys can absorb that. And this is what it came up for the i7 on the Huawei. Having that extra score, I guess, is going to hopefully mean that that laptop has a longer lifespan, right? That it lasts us an extra maybe year or two on the far end, which is always nice. Plus, we're not at the end of the lifespan where we're just kind of hoping for a new computer. Now, after that, we switched over to 3D Mark. Now, 3D Mark, of course, is similar in as a benchmark in that it now is not going from like business operations to 3D graphic operations. And this, honestly, was actually a real surprise because they both actually use the same internal graphics chipset, as far as I know. Please leave a comment if I'm wrong, because for those that watch the channel, I'm not a huge PC user. I'm normally a Mac user. So one of the things that I noticed right away was that on the i5, again, 16 gigs of RAM, right? It just, everything seemed just a little choppy. And when we actually got into, you know, the specific like GPU tests, you really notice that, and you really notice like the frames per second, you know, drop, which is to be expected, right? It's going to drop because it's going from a little less intensive to more intensive. But where it maxed at was kind of where the i7 hit at its lowest. So if you were to look at a graph, right, the i5 was kind of like here, and then the i7 said, well, we'll start here, that's our lowest, and we'll go up here, right? So again, if you look at these two with the GPU, you are definitely seeing that increase, way less stuttering because of the fact that, of course, you're getting higher frames per second on the i7. So if you are looking at doing stuff that can be a little more GPU intensive, more graphic intensive, I didn't expect to see much of a difference, but there's significant difference running, again, that same internal GPU on the i7 versus the i5. Now, when you get to the CPU test, again, it's kind of that same thing where we're seeing the i5 kind of hit up here, and then the i7 says, no, we're going to come across and then up. And the i7 actually did fairly well. Like, we hit some pretty good frames per second. Again, at its lowest, kind of hit where the i5 kind of hit at its peak. And you guys will be able to see, here's the actual i5 benchmark results, followed by, you got it, the i7 on the Huawei benchmark results. And sometimes, you know, benchmarks they're great. You know, it's a nice overall number, but it's, in my opinion, it's not necessarily a true number because, you know, again, day-to-day stuff and how much we're going to be gaming or doing anything like that can be really personal, right? This again, this i5 lasted me the last year, and I've been pretty pleased with it. Would I game on it? Well, you'll see right now. No, not necessarily. So I've hooked up a controller to this, and on the Lenovo here, the i5, we've got Tomb Raider. So I'm gonna just turn this on. You guys will be able to see this here. I'll just maybe bring this up a little bit. Here, my screen a little bit here. And this is the two. So this is the Lenovo right here, and this is the Huawei i5. So we can go into play, which is cool, right? Fail to initialize. Okay. Now it may be because it's one of the things. It comes off of some of the servers. This comes off of Epic Games. And the same thing happens with Steam because they're both logged in with the same account. Sometimes it remembers what the last system was it played on, so I have to set this. So 1920 by 1080 at 60 hertz. Yep, using the Intel Iris Xe graphics. Yep, quality. We're going to have it set. Let's do this. Let's have it set to, we'll set it to normal for now. We'll hit OK. But what I'm going to do here is the first kind of test with this is we're going to run, Tomb Raider has its own benchmark inside it, which is kind of what we'll run here, okay? So right off the bat, okay, you'll see start benchmark. So we're going to click that, let it load, and I'll speed through this till the benchmark actually starts, okay? Okay, so here we have the benchmark, and what it's doing now is just kind of figuring out what kind of settings it can handle so that you can get at least some kind of decent gameplay, right? Or the best gameplay it thinks out of this hardware. So we'll let this kind of finish its little benchmarking test. And then it'll adjust the system to allow for the best results. Okay, so benchmark stats, minimum frames per second 40, maximum 60.2, average of 52.4. That's okay. That's kind of what it's setting. But we will go through here and just kind of see what it's set for its actual, right? Its actual options. So we'll go into options here, I believe, and you can see graphics. So we are at 1920 by 1080, 60 hertz, right? Setting quality at normal. Okay, good. So remember normal, right? 1920 by 1080. Close this. And if we go back here to actually do some, we'll continue, right? And give it a quick play, just so you guys can see. Here we are, right? And at this kind of resolution, right, it actually plays decent. Now, of course, this part here that you're seeing, it's all blurry because it's supposed to be. But yeah, like it plays decently. I was actually quite surprised at how well this did. Flammable. Right, I think I need fire here somewhere back here, maybe. Right. There we go. All right. Playable, 100%. And at this, like I said, on average, it'll do between, about 50 frames. And you can't complain too much on a machine like this that's designed to be like a business computer. That's definitely playable, right? So yeah, no, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. All right, so let's try this now on the Huawei. Okay, so same idea here. We have Tomb Raider. We're gonna crank it open, crack it open. I say those two words wrong all the time. Play. You will notice that it just loads faster on this one. Why? I don't know, but it does. Bring my volume up a little bit. It seems brighter, the screen, but that's computer versus, right? So let's do the same thing. Let's go in here and start our benchmark. Okay. And again, I'm going to let that benchmark go, and then we'll see what it kind of says it can do in regards to resolution. Now, realize this screen on this display is 90 hertz versus 60 hertz. And I believe it's like 2560 by 1440. So depending on, it has to push more info to this display, right? So it'll be interesting to see what it tells us. But this is looking nice and smooth right now. So minimum, same kind of thing. We got the i5 pulled in 52. This is pulling 53. But I want to see what it's set to. You remember the other one was 1920 by 1080 and in normal mode, right? So if we come here and we go to our options and we go to graphics, no, that's gameplay. That's not the right one. Let's go to graphics. So you'll see 2520 by 1680 at 90 hertz, again in normal. So it is pushing a lot higher, which means that if I were to even go here to high, right? Let's do high. I'm curious to see what high will do and apply that. And I'm going to close this, and we're going to do that benchmark again, because I want to see what we can get for a benchmark running high on this. Because if it can keep me in, for me, I don't play enough games to be like, oh, I need it to be, pushing it super high. I kind of just like it to look fairly pretty. And you can even see this, right? This is pretty good. This is running in high, so all your textures and all that are going to be at a higher quality. But you can flip back and forth. The i5 running in high has a little bit of an issue. Again, running lower resolution, right? And running 60 hertz versus 90. So we dropped a bit here, right? 34. But we on you know, even at lowest, we're hitting close to 30 frames. So I'm gonna be like, that's okay. So let's keep that. I'm okay with that setting right now. We'll just see what it looks like when we start playing it. So we'll do the continue. Yep. We should be continuing from the exact same area. Yeah, like that's.
What is this place?
It definitely, because I'm in high, it definitely looks prettier. And for me, like, and this is a fairly busy environment right here. This just looks, it just looks so much nicer, right? Just that extra quality. It is running at 90 hertz, so you are getting that extra boost. And again, the 90 hertz is because of the Huawei display. That's not anything to do with the i7 or to do with, you know, the physical graphics card. But, oh yes, right? Oh yeah, I would play it in high for sure. And if you get down the road with some areas that may need, you know, maybe it chops up a little bit. It does sound like the slowest you'll get is 28 frames, and that's completely playable. All right, I want to try one more game, which I know has a little bit of problems on one, so I'm just going to escape out of here. Exit out of this, because I know that it's fairly like graphic intensive. And for those of you that have an Xbox like I do, and you have Game Pass, the nice thing is you like you do get the ability to play. Now you do get to play some actual PC games, right, on here, which is fantastic. Now I think oh, I don't have, yeah, Death Stranding. I just want to show you this, and this is a new game that actually came out for PS5. Now I'm not going to show it to you, but on the i5 there is definitely some graphic issues that happen where it kind of, parts of the graphics just pop in and out until you walk by them, and it really does make the game unplayable. But here on the i7, again with the Iris, I was shocked. It was actually a very fun game. I've just started playing it to play on here, but it works really good. So I'll get to the gameplay part for you guys. All right, so here we go, and you can see, like, I have to get over there, but this plays like really well. I have to get over there somehow, but you know, I'm down with playing this like this. In the i5 version, for some reason, I get all kinds of video, like all kinds of glitches, which not overly impressed with. Whoop, grip for balance. No, don't worry. I'm going across. I don't know where I'm going across. I'm just. Come on. There's a. Get over there. Get over there. Get over there. There we go. I think I have to be on this side. But again, you can see on this game, which is, you know, PS5 game, it runs fine on here. Like, there's a little bit of pop-up you see in the background, right? But again, no issues at all playing this, right? So I just wanted to show you that, and you could see back here a little bit of distant rocks. You know, they slowly appear or get a bit more textures in them as they get closer. Now I don't know if that's a big i7 graphics thing, or if that's the game just, you know, loading. Because again, you got to remember too, right, that a lot of these games, especially this one that came from PC World, was designed, or sorry, from PS5 World, was designed, I believe, for the PS5. So because of that, you know, it's relying on this ridiculously fast SSD to actually load everything up, where, you know, not necessarily this hard drive or this hard drive is fast enough to do that. So very cool. It's very cool. You know, comparing the i5 versus the i7, right? If you guys ever want me to do some more testing, I definitely can. The thing is trying to find, you know, a good piece of software to do that. You can do business stuff on both of these, the i5 or i7, and be completely happy with the 11th generation. Completely happy. Is it going to probably give you more life with the i7? Yeah, 100%. Can you photo edit and like do some video editing? Yeah. Again, if you're going to get into more serious video editing, just realize doable on both for sure, but time, right? You know, I've used even Insta360 where I've tried to, you know, process a 360 file. Both of them do it 100%. They do it fine. Which does it faster? The i7, without question, it does it faster. But that's really up to you. Do you care if you need to sit there longer to do this, right? That's important. That's an important thing to realize. I'm probably going to do another video similar to like this, just in regards to some video stuff. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. So, you know, export times with like things like Insta360, export times with, let's say, Catalyst Browse for Sony, and like render and export times for programs like DaVinci Resolve, right? So something like that, which, because, you know, a lot of us nowadays, more of us nowadays, are doing some video editing, and we've gotten some of these action cams and things like that, and we want to, you know, sometimes time is really important. I definitely don't have enough time throughout the day, so anytime I can make a computer go faster, the i7, right? Huge perk. And then last but not least, again, these computers are probably not something that you would buy to game. But as someone who likes to sit, especially someone that is a Mac user, gaming is not really an option, really, for me on the Mac side, unless I want to install Windows on it. So this i7, for me, I'm loving it for doing some casual gaming to intermediate. The fact that I can play both of the games that I showed you at great frames, you know, really good resolution. They make them really enjoyable. Is it going to have the performance of a gaming machine? No. But do I have to spend that much money? Like gaming laptops are not cheap, right? No, it's not. I'd rather, especially this one, the i7 on the Huawei 14s, 90 hertz, you know, 2.5K pretty much. And I was playing Tomb Raider in high. So yeah, that's excellent. I leave that really to you, i5 versus i7. For me, now that I look back, I kind of wish that I would have bought the i7. I probably would have ended up using my Lenovo even more because of the fact that I would have just found more enjoyment in the fact that it was as fast as it was. The i5 is good, but for someone like me that uses this computer really for everything, right, including some gaming, which I couldn't really do on the i5. Really, this machine is the i7 is a I think if you have the money, it's a really good. Is that camera going in and out of focus? It's a really good investment in your money. Especially it seems because the i7 and the graphics card are like they're tied together. When one speeds up, the other one seems to speed up as well. So, right, i7 with 16 gigs of RAM kind of seems like the sweet spot. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you there. Again, comments below. I do think I'll make another video doing some like video processing tasks just so you guys can see. All right, my friend, that was the Lenovo i5 16 gigs of RAM, 11th gen, versus the Huawei 14s i7 11th gen with 16 gigs of RAM, both running the Intel Iris cards. All right, comments down below. I'm gonna do that video for sure. Maybe in the next few days or a week. All right, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit that little notification bell, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.